Hi everyone, Sarah Bowman here. I'm just going to be doing a tutorial on how to make your images more whimsical. This is great for wedding photos, couple photos, engagement photos, or even fine art images that you want to add a more ethereal look to. Now I have already done the retouching and liquefying layer right here. I merged them all and just made it one layer. I won't be going over how to retouch and liquefy today, but I can at another time. Now, and also, so this layer right here is the before original image, before retouching and liquefying. So you can see that I kind of adjusted the posture of her. I am big on posture because I think that makes a huge difference in a photograph, but I don't like bossing a bride around too much. And you can see over here that open sign that's kind of distracting because you can kind of tell that it's an open sign, so I kind of hid it right there with a little light so you don't really notice it anymore. And you can also see if I zoom in a bit more that I've edited her eyes and the makeup here and added some eyelashes. Retouched the skin a bit as well, which I can go over at another time if anyone's interested. But you can see that I brought out the makeup quite a bit, which you can notice even at a distance. I kind of did it quite a bit because you notice it more at a distance, whereas if I only did a small amount, you wouldn't notice it quite as much. And I also don't like to get rid of birthmarks or anything like that. I like to keep them there, maybe just fade them out just slightly to make it softer. And yeah, just overall retouching of the skin and some hairs that kind of have gone a little all over the place. Well, it's hard not to when you've been out and about for a few hours. But yeah, so that's what I fixed up in the retouch and liquefy. So next I'll just show you how to achieve this image here. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is create a layer mask for levels. I just want to bring up the highlights as well as the midtones, and I'm going to lower the shadows as well a bit just to create a little bit more contrast, but not too much, especially in a wedding photograph. You don't want too much contrast in those kind of images. At least in my opinion, everybody has a little bit of a different taste, so just do it as you desire. Next, I'm going to create a layer. This is going to be for making a vignette around the image. And what I'm going to do is just fill the whole layer in with black. And now I'm going to add a mask on it, fill the mask in with white to hide what I just did. And now I'm going to get a brush, make it pretty large, because what we're going to do is want to brush where we want the vignette to be seen, which will be mostly on the corners of the image. And I usually just have 100% opacity for this, because I can always adjust the opacity of the entire layer. I'm going to change the blending mode to this layer and make it multiply. And we're also going to lower the opacity quite a bit, 24%, maybe even lower than that if I look at it before and after. I think maybe I'll just make it 20, but of course whatever you prefer. You don't even have to put a vignette on this image, but I kind of like it. Now I like to add more soft light in the background, so we're going to add another layer mask. We're going to add a gradient layer mask, and we're going to change the style to radial. And I'm going to try a few colors here. I'm going to be a little picky. Sometimes it's trial and error to see what you like and what you don't like. Maybe a yellow for this one. We'll see how that looks. Maybe we'll try more of a rosy color. It's okay. And let's just play around with the sliders here, making it bigger, smaller, seeing what you like. I don't know, it's just maybe stick to pretty much close to 100 like it was before. And the angle doesn't really make a big difference. Won't, in the end at least, we won't really be seeing what the angle is. So I'm just going to move it around into the top left corner here, and I'm not sure if I'm liking the color because I know So let's just save it to, let's just make it a softer color here. I think it's too saturated, too dark. So I'm just going to change that to like a light pink or something like that. Let's see how that looks. But you can always change it afterwards. It doesn't really matter. Alright, let's press OK, blah blah blah, let's press OK. So now I'm just going to control where that light is going to be visible. So I want to paint over where I want to see more of my subject, in this case the bride. So we're going to want to get a brush, maybe put the opacity down, make sure you're painting with black, and just paint with black over where you want to hide the light that we just made. So I want to see more of the bride's face. So now I'm just going to adjust the opacity because this is way too much, way too saturated. It's covering way too much of the background. It doesn't really look natural, so I'm just going to lower the opacity of that until I like it. And now I'm going to change the color. Now that I see it, I don't really like it. So we're just going to go back in here and make it maybe a little bit softer, quite light. Press OK, blah, blah, blah. So I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out already. If we look at the before here, yeah, definitely. I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out so far. Now I just want to add another spot of haziness on the right side of the image. I just kind of like how it looks. I feel like it shows off the bride a little bit more. So we're just going to do that, and again, paint with black on the areas that you don't want to be affected by the haziness that we just made. So we're going to add a curves layer just down here, click there, curves, and let's go and fudge with the red. And I'm just going to lower it just a little bit, so you can kind of see it becomes a little bit more bluey, a bit more greeny. And I'm going to adjust the blue slider more than the red one, just to bring out the yellow in the picture. And let's put that aside. And let's see where we are. I love before and afters. So it looks like our progress is right on track. And so you can even play around with what you've done already if you're not happy with certain things. I'm just going to lower the vignette. I don't want that much of a vignette. Alright, I'm going to now add selective color. Let's play around with the reds. Maybe lower the magenta. Let's just kind of see what the sliders do to the image. You can play around with this as you please. Maybe raise the magenta and the yellows. See how that affects it. It's mostly kind of playing around. See what you like and what you don't like. How everything changes with the sliders. I think I'm happy with that. And let's play around with the greens just a little bit. There's a little bit of green in her bouquet. We kind of want to bring out the color in that. I think I'll lower the magenta to pop out the greens and the yellow as well. And now there isn't really much blue in the picture, so you can see that not much is really being affected, so we're not really going to do anything with the blues. Now, I don't want there to be too much color in her wedding dress, because normally we want it to be a nice crisp or slightly off-white. So let's just kind of see what color would be affected if we play around with this, and just kind of maybe make it look a little bit more fresh, rather than the yellow tone that the rest of the image has, a more warmer tone. So let's just kind of play around with the sliders here. Maybe even change the black, lower that a little bit as well. And I think I'm going to keep it like that. Alright, we're getting there. Another layer. This time, this layer will be, let's do another curve layer. This time we're just going to do an all-around adjustment to kind of play around with the contrast again, just to touch it up now that we've made all the adjustments. Let's just rename this contrast, and maybe we'll take a look and see what the image looked like before we made the adjustments, just to kind of get an idea how everything's progressing. So before the contrast, after contrast. Alright, one more layer. Last one, I promise. Okay, new layer. Now press Shift Delete to bring this up. Make sure the mode's on soft light and use 50% gray and just press OK. And this will happen once it finishes loading. Now we're going to go to Noise and add noise. Now this will take a little bit of playing around with, and this is also very optional as well. Put it on monochromatic because you don't want color in it. You just kind of want it to have a little bit of a matte effect on your picture. Play around with the amount, and then once you're finished, we'll just press OK. See how that looks. We'll have to change this to overlay or soft lights. Now it just adds a little bit of grain. If we zoom in a bit here, you can see there's too much definitely on her face especially. So let's lower this quite a bit. Let's go down 35%, see how that is. So you can see that it affects, you can see it mostly in the background. I just kind of like how it blends the image, but if you don't like it, you certainly don't have to use it. Some people like it, some people don't. I sometimes use it. Some images I just don't like it on. Actually, a lot of my wedding photographs I don't even use it on, but this particular one I kind of like the way it looks. So we're pretty much done. So let's just go over what we have done already. Let me just unclip the layers here. So before, all the adjustments, and then we add the first curve or levels layer to kind of add some contrast. And then the next layer was the vignetting. And if you notice throughout the whole thing that you want to make it more adjustments, it's really easy to fix that on the layer masks. So we got one of our hazes and then the one on the right side. The nice thing about going over this is you can kind of notice certain things that you wish that you didn't do, so you can fix it right on the spot before you save it for your customer. And then you've got your selective color where you play around with the sliders. And then your contrast. Just a little bit of contrast kind of adds to the image, allows it to pop a bit. And then lastly, the matting grain layer. So that's the whole image there. Now what I'm going to do is put my logo on and show you how I like to do it. And let me just find it here. You might see a few private things there. Don't look. Alright, so here's my logo. You want to press this so that it constrains the dimensions. It doesn't stretch or warp your image. So we're going to make it smaller. And I try to not have it on the person. And I'm just going to change the blending mode to overlay or soft light. And you can also adjust the opacity on this if you desire, but I'm just going to keep it the way it is right here. And that's a finished image, before and after. It just kind of adds a little bit more of a whimsical look, and I'm pretty pleased with that image. So if you have any more questions or if you have any requests, please contact me or comment below, and I will do my best to keep up with it. You can also support me by becoming my patron. The link is below, and basically what it is, you give a small amount each month. You'll have access to exclusive updates, blog posts, tutorials, and my top patrons also are able to send their own images to me to be edited by me, and I give them the full PDF file. So have a look at the link and see if it's something you're interested in. Otherwise, check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/SarahBowmanPhotographs, or you can even check out my website, www.sarahbowmanphotography.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.